Hi guys, in this video we are going to look at Laravel Nova Resources. Nova Resources are basically an easy way to quickly manage your eloquent models. So for example, when you install Laravel Nova, so you have this users resource. If you go to that section, you will see all the user accounts created in your uh, application, and you can manage them, right? So basically I can just take a look at the one of the accounts, and uh, I can modify them if I want, and perform current operations through the dashboard. Okay, so how do I make one of these resources for my application? So if I go back to my favorite editor, PHP Storm, yes, I have switched from Atom to PHP Storm because I just love this editor and I just can't help myself from using it. Okay, so right now, if you go to the Eloquent model, right? So I have a user model with the three fields: name, email, and password. And I have a Laravel Nova resource, which basically extends this particular resource class. And what's the first thing you see as the property? It will say, okay, this particular resource relates to this particular model. Okay, so user resource relates to a user model. Okay, so if you scroll down, you see some other properties, and then you see some fields. So basically these are the fields you are going to see in this particular table. So ID and a gravatar, name, email, and these are not fields, those are like options. So those are the fields. Okay, so don't worry about these things too much. We are going to make our own resource, and work along with me, and then you'll see what this means. Okay, let's create a new Laravel Nova resource. So I'm going to switch back to my terminal. Okay, so PHP artisan. First of all, I need to make a model, right? Eloquent model for the class. Let's say since this is my blog, I'm going to create a model of post. Okay, so make model post, and I'm also going to create the migrations files for me. Okay, so now that I have my post table, let's go back to this editor, and I'm going to add a couple of fields. So my table is going to have a title, and I'm also going to have a body for the post. And I'm going to have a relationship. Why? Because all the posts are going to be somehow related to one user. So I'm going to create a corresponding user ID, because a post will be created by a user and it will belong to a particular user. Okay, and we're going to look at some eloquent model relationship as well. Okay, so I have the post table, so I can do a fresh install. Okay, and then I come back to my model, and I need to make the relationship on this particular eloquent model first, because remember, Laravel is a separate application. Okay, and Nova is an extended version of your application, right? Nova is a separate package, so you can't expect Nova to do these works for you. You need to just follow the old pattern to create your application, and Nova is going to bring you awesome features along the way. Okay, so if you take a post, you are going to need to make the relationship. Okay, a post will basically belong to a user, so public function user, and this this belongs to user dot class. Okay, and if you go back to the user, and you need to say user has many posts, so public function posts return this has many post class. Okay, so that makes the relationship from post to user. Okay, and now I'm going to close these two models. Okay, and create the Laravel Nova resource. So how do I do that? PHP Artisan Nova resource. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I've been getting complaints to make these fonts larger. Okay, so PHP Artisan Nova resource, and what's the name for my resource? It's going to be post. Okay, resource is created successfully, and if I come back, I see inside my Nova folder I have a post resource. So whenever I create the Laravel Nova resource, it's going to assume that I'm going to have a corresponding model with the same name. So if you want to change this, you can change this, but I kind of like to go with the flow and just use the same name for the model and the resource. Okay, so without modifying this file at all, I'm going to go back to my dashboard and reload it. Okay, and I do reload and I see a post. I see posts in my sidebar. So if I click on that, I don't have anything yet. If you want, you can create a post, but if you go to create post, you might see a problem. Okay, how do I create a post? Because if you, in the users section, if you go to create users, you'll see a form with fields corresponding to database columns, but you don't see them in the post create section. Okay, why is that? Because you need to explicitly mention the fields for your resource. Okay, right now you only have ID, which is an auto-generated field. So if you go back to users, you see that you have some other fields also mentioned in the same in the users resource. Okay, so I'm going to copy this particular field because I don't want to type it all the way. Okay, so I have two fields in my post, right? So actually three other than ID. So the first one would be title, and I'm going to keep the size. I don't want to change that. And then I have a body. Okay, so I need to import the class, and I'm going to go back and reload and show you something real quick. So when I reload, okay, I get the title and body, but if I try to create a post, I'll get an error. So, okay, let's see. So my title would be hello world, and my body would be this is how we roll. Okay, so if I create a post, oops, I get an error. What's that? Integrity constraint violation. Okay, why? If you remember, in my post table I have another column, right? User ID. Okay, this post should belong to some user. All right, so how do I mention that? So Laravel Nova gives you an awesome way to work with relationship as well. So how do I do that? So I need to make a new field. Okay, so posts belongs to user, right? So I'm going to make a belongs to field, right? Which will say I'm going to write, oh, I'm sorry for that, should be a comma, right? This post belongs to a user. So I do that, I come back, and if I reload, voila, right? And look at that. So I just created the belongs to relationship, and Nova is pulling all the users who are already in the database, right? How cool is that, right? If remember in past days, if you want to do this, you need to pull down the users and make a drop down collection with the names, and then pass along the ID with the post, and do so many things. But look at how cool is this, right? So I'm going to tell you okay, I'm going to talk about this as well, right? So look at this title, body, user, the casing, right? So by default, Nova is going to convert all the names to lowercase and try to match the columns, right? So I don't want to look ugly. Okay, so now if I try to create a post, hello world, and this is how we roll. Oh, not rule, roll. And I need to attach a user to the post, so I'm going to attach myself, John Doe, right, and create a post. Voila, right? You see, when I create a post, right, now if you go back to the post table, you see the ID of the post, title, body, and the user, and see, you can straight away jump from here to the user's profile if you want to check the user, right? Or if you want to edit the post, you can change the user which the post belongs to, and update stuff. How cool is that, right? And one more thing, if you go back to the database, remember we are using SQLite, right? So if you go back to the database file, and I'm going to check the post table, see this mapping, right? Laravel Nova is smart enough to figure out the user's ID and make the relationship work for you. So right, okay, so play along with this, right? Create some couple of resources with a relationship, without relationship, and see how this suits in the big picture. Okay, I'm not going to drag this video too much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thumbs if you like it, subs if you love it.